Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new NVIDIA daily update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over NVIDIA stock. Let's go over what is happening on this unbelievable market day. NVIDIA up with a beautiful 4% on the day compared to the market. Actually slightly underperforming, you can argue, because QQQ is up almost 3% itself. So NVIDIA definitely could have been doing better in my opinion, but nonetheless, still a very respectable 4%. So let's go over it. If you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice and I'm not a financial advisor. And of course, if you enjoy my analysis, technical analysis, thoughts, etc., I do have a YouTube membership down below in the description of the video. The link is there for just $3 a month. You can access to all my thoughts, post updates every day or for $5 a month. For the $3 a month, you get access to my Tesla updates and other stocks as well, bonus stocks like I sometimes update, AMD or Google or Disney or Starbucks. I actually did today. Or for $5 a month, you get access to all of that, plus NVIDIA daily updates as well. But yeah, let's just jump right into it. NVIDIA with, again, beautiful 4% day, closing at $145.50 per share, which is not too bad, right? Not too bad at all. Making fresh all-time highs, which is pretty damn phenomenal. Now, again, it depends on how you want to look at this. As usual, we'll go over both scenarios, the bullish and the bearish scenario. It's always good and healthy to look at both cases. Let's start with the bullish scenario, right? I think the bulls deserve this today after such an unbelievable day for the market in general, really. What is going to happen with NVIDIA moving forward? Well, NVIDIA, fresh all-time highs. It broke above this level over here at about 144 to 145. That was that important level to break that we had issues before. And we did. We absolutely broke it. Now, pretty much, really plain and simple, NVIDIA wants to turn this area right here back into support. Pretty much, you don't want it to see go much lower than about 144-ish. You don't want to go too far lower than that. As long as it stays above about 144-ish, I think it's looking pretty good. Turn this area back into a nice, beautiful looking support. And I think NVIDIA will be ready to make its way higher. I'm going to even put it down here. And I think NVIDIA will be ready to make its way higher for the next major target closer to the 150s, because again, this stock tends to really like to move in these kind of rough $5 increments. So 150 would be that next target, assuming this general level holds. And that's just really the simple way to put it. Now, it's bullish. Like I said, it's bullish. It's making higher highs. The weekly, I want to look at the weekly one very quickly here, right? Remember the weekly candles? We talked about this a while ago. Back on this weekly candle back here, we mentioned how the ultra bull case scenario, which I'm honestly still a little surprised played out. I overall expected NVIDIA to come back down like this and then move up. Instead, it's just going up. This was the ultra bull case scenario. If you go back to this video here, which was in, what is this? Why did they also say the same dates or something? The 14th of October. I was blind. All right. Anyway, what was I saying? I was saying, yeah. So, the issue here was, not the issue, but the thing here was the fact that NVIDIA, you can see over here, massive area of resistance. We kept coming up to this area and it kept rejecting us, finally broke above it in this candle. And this is what I was saying as the ultra bull case scenario, turning this area back into a support like this. And that's all she wrote, is a potential bullish, very bullish scenario. And that so far what's been playing out. And that's exactly what we did last week and almost even slightly what we did this week. We consistently are turning this area, which is pretty much about the 130 range, which I've mentioned many times is extremely crucial to hold. We've been turning it into support. We've been turning the very low 130s into support for the past few weeks, which is a damn good sign. And we made new highs. So again, as it looks right now, NVIDIA, like I said many times, is not the stock too short. It needs to show some actual issues before it looks actually bearish, right? Now, there are still some signs that are potentially a little bit, concerning slightly, but if you're just looking at it, which is with as little noise as possible, it still looks phenomenal. It still is making higher lows, higher highs. It bounced almost to perfection of this market bias over here. You can see just a few days ago, and it's been rocketing ever since, right? I mean, you can't really ask for a cleaner picture than this. Beautiful retest, beautiful hold, beautiful bounce. It's really that simple. And this is kind of like what Tesla just did as well, right? Man, don't forget Tesla, almost the same scenario. Beautiful comeback, beautiful test, and an unbelievable rocket, right? Same idea, just to a small, obviously, more contained extent, but nonetheless, pretty much the same idea for NVIDIA here. So those are pretty much the bullish scenario. Again, NVIDIA, as long as it's above 130 and pretty much this market bias as it's continuing to hold us up, which obviously is going to continue slowly moving up with us, which at the moment is going to be sitting somewhere around the mid to low 130s. As long as that holds up, I see no reason NVIDIA is bearish, right? Despite the signals that were shown. And this is why, sometimes too many signals can be bad. And, I am sometimes guilty of this. Absolutely. I actually was even a little bit guilty of it over here because I saw this and, if I just looked at only the market bias and the trend, this is just a simple retest. But, you had things which are big things. It's not something you should just completely ignore either. But we had the MACD flip bearish and it's still bearish, right? We had the stochastic flip bearish and it's actually flipped back to being bullish. So, maybe the bullish one is a false signal this time. Who knows? Nothing is perfect, right? No system is perfect. No indicator, no MACD, nothing is perfect. It's all about just trying to be as consistent as possible. So again, if you eliminate as much noise as possible and you just looked at it in the most simplistic way possible, beautiful retest of the 130s. It held the market bias, and you move higher. That's all it really comes down to, despite the MACD turning bearish and the stochastic turning bearish, which could have been maybe, you size in a little bit lower than normal, because those were some signs that could have been manifested into something a lot worse than this for sure. But that's kind of what I see. Now, with that being said, let's talk about some potential bearish scenarios, right? What are the bearish scenarios? I actually want to bring up one indicator here really quickly, which is going to be the OBV, the on-balance vol. Actually, wait, sorry, that was for another stock. No, never mind. Take it all back. It looks great for NVIDIA. I'm thinking of another stock. Never mind. That looks pretty good for NVIDIA. No issues there whatsoever. But the issues that I potentially may be seeing here is the fact that the MACD is still, despite this move up, it's actually still on the daily bearish. It's still looking a little bit concerning there. That's still there. Take it as you will. It is what it is. It's a very common indicator. Not always perfect, but it is still bearish. RSI is starting to enter some overbought territories. It's not there just yet, but it's getting close to overbought territories. But I would say the more concerning sign is the fact that, we are making very obvious bearish divergences, right? Where essentially, as the stock is, making higher highs, we're essentially making lower highs along quite the opposite of what the stock is doing. So watch out for that, right? That's obviously a pretty powerful bearish divergence. And the only way this gets negated is if NVIDIA moves higher and ultimately the RSI breaks this high over here and essentially makes its way higher than about 77 or to 78. That's when this bearish divergence gets nullified and it doesn't even matter anymore, though in that case will be overbought, but it will nullify this potential large bearish divergence that is still setting up. So that's, a little bit of a concern, which maybe, you change your positioning and sizing accordingly, because that is, in my opinion, a valid concern. And the stochastic actually flipped bullish. So the stochastic is back to being bullish. It's happy. It's having no complaints here whatsoever. So ultimately, I still think NVIDIA looks great. It's bullish. It's making higher highs. As long as 144-ish holds, I think it's looking still quite phenomenal. But again, if we start going below 144, okay, a little bit concerning. That's not ideal. We want to hold 144. Closing below 144 would not be ideal. So if that were to happen, I would expect another move back down to this market bias. And as long as this area holds, and especially 130, I still think it's bullish. Again, to me, NVIDIA only really turns bearish if it loses about that 130 range. If you lose 130 in the market bias, it's bearish. Plain and simple. Stock is bearish. There's really no other way to put it. That's going to be the main thing to watch out for. But as long as that remains and as long as that is not lost, I see no reason to be bearish on NVIDIA, especially when it's still making these higher highs and ultimately still making higher lows. So that's kind of what I'm seeing on NVIDIA moving forward. So, let me know what you think down below. If you enjoyed my analysis, etc., don't forget to hit that like button. Take a quick look at options flow for NVIDIA as well. Still, despite Tesla arguably stealing the show today, NVIDIA still has a lot of bulls stepping in. Man, this is a crazy stock. It really, really is. Like every single day, there's just these 1.6 million, 2 million calls upon calls upon calls upon calls with just like a small little hint of puts in between, but it's just calls upon calls upon calls upon calls for NVIDIA. Pretty wild stuff, pretty powerful stuff. Again, if you're trying to short this stock, but again, best of luck, right? That's all I'm gonna say. Best of luck to you. Not a stock I would be shorting unless it loses 130. That's the only time I would even remotely consider it. It's a bullish stock. Don't fight the trend. That's all it really is. Don't fight the trend, because it's one thing to maybe miss out on this move and maybe not make money. Maybe you're doing something else, another stock, whatever. It's another thing to short this and lose money on a move like this. That to me is a big no-no. In terms of options flow, NVIDIA is actually the second most confirmed bullish options flow for 20 million today, which is obviously a good sign as well. And yeah, the stock still looks pretty good. Earnings coming out in not too much longer, just a couple of weeks away. That's going to be a potential interesting thing to see how NVIDIA acts up into earnings, if it rallies into or sells off into earnings. That'll be pretty fun to watch as well. But yeah, that's all I got for you. Let me know what you think down below. See you tomorrow. Peace. Oh, by the way, tomorrow, FOMC. Watch out for that. Could be important.